Kare Mapinduka, and welcome to Africa Good Morning, the show that keeps you up to date with the latest news in Africa and beyond. I'm your host, Glenora Shipura. Getting into what you can expect in today's broadcast. Awata says RTMC misled the public about the driving license card validity period in South Africa. Saudi firm plans a hydrogen-powered skyscraper in Egypt's new capital, and INGD drawing up strategies to support victims of terrorism. We'll also be talking to Talent Gore, who will be filling us in on the latest news in Zimbabwe. Do stay tuned for this and more on Africa Good Morning.
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Getting into our top stories, the organization Undoing Tax Abuse claims the Road Traffic Management Corporation has misled South Africans as to why it will not extend the driving license card validity period from 5 years to 8 years for light vehicles. The organization's executive director, Advocate Stephanie Fick, said the RTMC would not provide Awata with its research report showing how communicable disease affects its decision, while the Department of Transport told them the report does not exist. The RTMC has ignored the research it conducted in 2022, which recommended extending the validity of driving license cards, and justified this by referring to research which it does not appear to have, Fick said on Wednesday. In July 2024, Awata asked both RTMC and the Department of Transport for two reports which they used when deciding on whether or not to extend the driving license validity period beyond the current 5 years. Fick said the first report was the research carried out for the RTMC in 2022, which their corporation previously refused to give Awata, but has now handed over. The driving license card validity period review compiled by Zutari in May 2022. This report recommended extending the card validity period for drivers of light vehicles to 8 years, which the RTMC and department have ignored. Getting into our next story, a Saudi-controlled real estate firm says it plans to break ground early next year in Egypt's new capital on a $1 billion 50-story office tower that aims to be the first of its kind to be powered by clean hydrogen. The sophisticated design and high-price tag represent a bet by Magnum Properties, a subsidiary of Saudi industrial group Rawabi Holding, that international clients will be drawn to the new capital, a city for over 6 million people being built from scratch in the desert east of Cairo. It is also a bet on clean hydrogen produced using renewable energy and not yet proven at scale, as Egypt seeks to position itself as a green energy hub in the face of regional competition. Ministries transferred to the city in July 2023, but few residents have moved in, and construction continues on infrastructure, including rail links. Magnum will soon start the detailed design of the Forbes International Tower and aims to complete the building by 2030. In our next story, Mozambique's relief agency, the National Disaster Management Institute, in coordination with its partners, is drawing up strategies to support the internally displaced victims of Islamist terrorism in the northern province of Cabo Delgado. According to INGD Deputy Chairperson Gabriel Monteiro, who was speaking at a seminar on harmonizing post-disaster preparedness, response and reconstruction in the context of internal displacement in Mozambique, held in the southern municipality of Morakwane, the suffering of displaced is seen as a major challenge for the authorities. Monteiro said the displacement caused by the terrorism differs from displacement caused by natural disasters, which allows for the early and coordinated mobilization of resources to mitigate the risk given prior information. The floods currently affecting Central and West Africa have already impacted more than 700,000 people, according to a report from the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. This alarming situation is a result of torrential rains that have hit the region just 2 months into the rainy season. The Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs is concerned about the flooding in the region, which has already affected hundreds of thousands of people. Just 2 months into the rainy season, heavy rains and severe flooding have impacted more than 700,000 people in the Central African Republic, Chad, Ivory Coast, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Liberia, Nigeria, Mali, and Togo, said Farhan Haq, deputy spokesperson for the UN Secretary General during a press conference. Getting to the last of our top stories, suspected fraudsters have hacked the WhatsApp number of Umo Eno, the governor of Nigeria's oil-rich Akwa Ibom state, and asked his contacts for money. Akwa Ibom in southern Nigeria is the country's third richest state based on its annual gross domestic product of 19 billion US dollars. The governor, a pastor who founded the All Nations Christian Ministry International, was elected last year. Many of Eno's phone contacts received messages from his WhatsApp number asking them to transfer a specified amount of money to an account and promising reimbursement later. The governor's chief press secretary, Ekerete Udo, released a statement confirming that the governor's WhatsApp number was cloned by criminals attempting to defraud unsuspecting individuals. Udo said law enforcement agencies had been notified. We hereby warn that any messages appearing to solicit funds by these imposters should be discountenanced by the general public as they do not emanate from the governor, the statement read. That concludes our top stories. On the other side of the break, we talked to Talent Gore, who'll be telling us what's happening in Zimbabwe.
Welcome to Namibia, where adventure meets tranquility. With Enjoy, you have access to a wide range of accommodations to suit every traveler's taste and budget. Experience the finest dining and hospitality Namibia has to offer. Booking your dream accommodation is just a few clicks away with Enjoy. Join thousands of happy travelers who have trusted Enjoy for their Namibian getaway. Your gateway to unforgettable Namibian adventures. Visit us today at enjoy.my.na.
We now cross over to Zimbabwe, speaking to our correspondent, Talent Gore, who's going to tell us the state of affairs there. Good morning, Talent.
Good morning, Glenora and Africa. Good morning.
Well, getting into your first story on a rather interesting development, 210-million-year-old lungfish species are unearthed in Zimbabwe.
Yes, a 210-million-year-old lungfish species have been discovered in Zimbabwe, with this fossil remnants traced back to the prehistoric period. Apparently, lungfish have been in existence for close to 420 million years, and the latest discovery helps scientists to understand the links between the current species and the one from long back. The National Museums and Monuments of Zimbabwe Executive Director Mr. Darlington Munyikwa said that the discovery of prehistoric remains is significant and sheds light on the country's hidden fossil treasures. Apparently, Zimbabwe is increasingly being seen as rich in fossil sites, attracting global interest from paleontologists and other heritage enthusiasts. Early this year, a 210-million-year-old dinosaur fossil was also discovered in Zimbabwe, in Kariba. So this is the second time that scientists have discovered something like this. 210-million-year-old fossils are being found in Zimbabwe. And a lot of scientists are saying that Zimbabwe could be a place where a number of old fossils can be discovered. So this is the second time that scientists are discovering something like this in Zimbabwe.
Do keep us posted if they discover something similar again. Moving on to your next story, Zimbabwe is now more than ready to host the 44th ordinary session of the Southern African Development Community Heads of State Government Summit, which is set to take place this coming Saturday.
Yes, the government has said that everything is now in place for the 44th SADC Summit, which is going to take place this Saturday. Addressing a post-cabinet media briefing yesterday, Information, Publicity and Broadcasting Services Minister Dr. Muswede said some delegates had already arrived in the country and taken part in some of the proceedings ahead of the main event on Saturday. He also said that all SADC countries will participate and the government is also ready to host the summit. He also said that everything was now in place, the roads have been fixed, and the accommodation for the delegates is now in check, and a number of delegates have already arrived in the country. They started arriving on the 6th of August, and right now they're just waiting for the main event, which is going to take place on Saturday, in which presidents are going to come in Zimbabwe and participate for the 44th SADC Summit. Apparently, Zimbabwe is going to take over the chairmanship of the summit this Saturday, with President Emerson Mnangagwa expected to lead the coming year of the SADC. So right now, everything is now in place, accommodation, and the government is also making sure that there is water and electricity, especially if those venues that the delegates are going to be using.
Well, it's great to hear that Zimbabwe rather, is prepared for the summit. Thank you so much, Talent, for bringing us these stories from Zimbabwe.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you, Talent. We'll now take a look at the weather predictions before we return with economic news.
E-Ticket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nhh.com.na.
Getting into our economic news, now 98% of Chinese banks, even small regional ones, are refusing to accept direct Chinese payment transfers from Russia. Alexei Ramosovsky, the commercial director of the payments company Empire Ras, told the pro-Kremlin media outlet Izvestia. Such issues appear to have intensified over the past 3 weeks, as smaller Chinese financial companies were still processing Russian payments in May and June, Izvestia reported. Last month, the Russian outlet Kommersant reported that about 80% of bank transfers made in the Chinese yuan were bouncing back with no explanation after being stalled for weeks while banks decided whether they could transact. Ramusvarsky told Izvestia the payment challenges with Chinese banks could contribute to supply chain difficulties and inflation in Russia. Since the invasion of Ukraine, Russia and its trade partners have skirted sanctions by using smaller banks and other payment modes or non-US dollar currencies to circumvent the West ban of some Russian banks from the widely used SWIFT messaging system. But the doors have been closing for these workarounds since December, when the US approved secondary sanctions targeting financial institutions that were helping Russia. Getting into our next story, Algeria's economic recovery is strengthening, and its gross domestic product, which increased by 3.6% in 2022 and 4.2% in 2023, is set to be 4.0% in 2024 and 3.7% in 2025, according to the African Development Bank Group's country report of 2024, which will be officially presented in Algiers in mid-September. According to the report, Algeria's economic growth is supported by the oil and gas, industrial, construction, and services sectors. Employment patterns show a move towards the services sector to the detriment of agriculture and manufacturing industry, emphasizes the report, nonetheless noting that the structure of GDP has not fundamentally changed and that the country should implement further reforms to speed up the structural transformation of its economy. The reform of the international financial architecture is an opportunity for Algeria to position itself as a donor country to support the development programs of other countries in Africa, states the report. In 2023, Algeria joined the group of donors that contribute to the founding cycle of the African Development Fund under AFD 16. Although the country has allocated a budget of $1 billion to fund development projects in Africa, it will still need additional resources to support actions to protect the climate and drive green growth initiatives. Let's take a look at our financial indicators before we return with the sports news with Ari Hochad.
Neopaints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neopaints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neopaints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours.
We're having some technical issues accessing Ariohat with the sports news. But nonetheless, Leonie Fata explains how you can win one of these 3 exclusive vouchers by participating in the Home of Good Hope's annual fundraising event. This important initiative will conclude on August the 20th, 2024. To enter, simply visit the website at homeofgoodhopenem.org and donate. The contribution will not only give you a chance to win incredible prizes, but also help to make a meaningful impact in the lives of families in Windhoek's Goriaghab settlement. Don't miss the opportunity to support this great cause. Let's take a look.
Voucher from Gondwana Collections for a stay in one of their facilities. And then the second prize is a safari hat worth over 1,000 rand from Safari Land that was donated. And then the third prize is colouring in books. Welcome to Namibia, and they are a journey through Namibia, colouring in. And they were designed by Melody Footer, and her daughter took over from when she passed away. Okay. So we've got some lovely prizes there.
Okay, how could people help support this project?
Well, first of all, they could start by entering our competition, and for that, if you go onto our website, it's homeofgoodhopenam.org. Then you can see the fundraiser is there, and for every donation of $100, you get entered into the draw for the first prize. Every donation of $50, you entered into the draw for the safari hat, second prize, and then for donations of $20, then you enter in for the colouring in book. And then secondly, what we are really looking for is people to look into their hearts and say, look, I can donate maybe $20 a month. And then I then have a stop order, $20 a month. But then when you add all those $20 or whatever, however much people feel they can supply, that's what we're aiming for in the long term. Then we know that our rent is covered. If for any reason the Netherlands stops funding or whatever, then at least we know our rent is covered, the rent of the kitchen, and our real basics are covered. So yeah, that's what our
Neo Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
If you're just joining Africa Good Morning, worry not, here are the highlights. Awata says RTMC misled the public about the driving license card validity period. Saudi firm plans a hydrogen-powered skyscraper in Egypt's new capital. Nearly all Chinese banks are refusing to process payments from Russia, report says. And with that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. Thank you for tuning in on this beautiful Thursday morning. From me, Glenora Shipura. Until next time.